Hey guys, welcome to the March 2017 10 Cards 1 Kit from From Lizzie. I will include the card unboxing above and below if you're interested to see what came in the kit. You just saw I created card bases. They're all top folding cards. Top folding cards right now are one of my favorite types of folding cards. So here's card 1, and I've taken a piece of pattern paper that came in the kit, and I am using the stamps and heat embossing them with Simon Says Stamp Antique Gold Embossing Powder. This color embossing powder just went really well with the colors of the kit. So just kind of creating a cascade of butterflies. And like the past couple videos of my 10 cards 1 kit, I am, when I start each card, I have all the supplies ready, so the video isn't so long. But if you have any questions, let me know. So heat emboss that, and then go ahead and add some foam tape to the back of this panel and adhere it to my card base. And then I take one of the stickers that came in the kit and use my embossing bag to get rid of the stickiness. This works out perfectly if you don't want to use it as a sticker. I wanted to create some dimensions, so went ahead and added some foam tape. You could have kept the sticky on the sticker, but I just went ahead and got rid of it. It doesn't really matter. Go ahead and adhere that down, and that's it for card 1. Love that one. That's probably one of my favorites. For card 2, I'm taking this music sheet piece of cardstock that came in the kit, or pattern paper. And if you watched Lizzie's, I think it was her unboxing, she had kind of put out the challenge to make a masculine card with this kit, and I ended up actually making a couple just by accident. So this one was the first one, and when I made this one, I did have a masculine theme in mind. So I'm using the ink and inking up the edges, and I'm also using this Tim Holtz Distress blade, whatever it's called. I'm not sure what it's called, but you can use scissors. You can use, if you're careful, use scissors. You can use your fingernail, piece of sandpaper, just anything to rough up the edges. So I'm blending in some ink on the edges and then using that tool to kind of fray the edges a little. To me, it reminds me of like an old piece of sheet music. And then once I'm done with that, there is a stamp that came in the kit that is a script. You can't read what it says though. It's meant to look that way. And it's great for mixed media. So here I am taking that stamp, and I stamp it off because I don't want it too dark. And this is a pigment ink pad, so it is quite juicy. Stamp it off on my piece of paper and then stamp it on the card. And then I take another piece of the music note pattern paper and go ahead and stamp my sentiment birthday wishes. And I heat emboss it in the antique gold embossing powder again. And then I will fussy cut it. Now, when I made my card bases, I believe they're a little bit longer than 11.5. So what I do is I trim them to 11.5. And so I had these little strips left over, and this is one of the strips. And I go ahead and take it and take the ink pad and just rub the ink pad over that strip. Or I'm saying 11.5. US is 8.5 by 11, so I trim them to the cardstock to 11 inches. Sorry. Go ahead and distress the edges. Add some foam. No, I have some double-sided tape from the From Lizzie shop I'm using here. It's like a tear and tape, score tape. I just love this type of tape because it tears. You don't have to cut it. It makes things a lot easier. Go ahead and adhere that down. And sorry about my big head. I really need to work on that because more and more of my videos, I'm getting my crazy hair in the way. Trim off the edges, and then I go ahead and adhere that little birthday wishes with some foam tape and adhere that in the center of that strip. And the ink on that strip, it almost looks kind of, it's a matte finish. It almost looks leathery. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I like this card a lot. And that's it for card 2. Card 3, I have taken one of my circle dies, cut the center out, and I'm going to take my card base and take that little floral, flourish, whatever you want to call it, stamp, and I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I'm placing my pattern paper for placement to make sure I stamp my stamp in the correct spot. And I'm using my Versamark because I'm going to heat emboss it with that gold embossing powder again. And go ahead and heat that. I love watching this embossing powder in particular heat up because the outcome, it's so pretty. It really is pretty. So I go ahead and remove the foam tape from the back of my panel and go ahead and adhere that down. And then I take one of the stickers again and get rid of the stickiness, and then I add some, what do I add? Foam squares, and I go ahead and put them on the little sentiment and then adhere the sentiment down. And with this video, and I add a couple of the pearl enamel dots. With this video, I'm using a lot of the add-ons. So if you want to know what was an add-on, what wasn't, check out the unboxing. The kit is sold out. However, if you participated in the blog hop, which ends March 5th, you can have a chance to win the kit. So definitely check that out. There is a previous video about the blog hop, which I will link at the end. So here is a piece of pattern paper. And I go ahead and take this other piece of pattern paper and adhere it on top. Trim up the edges. And then I have this silver mirror cardstock that came in the kit. I cut a strip to put right there in between where the two pattern papers meet. And I used a Nuvo glue pen from the FROM LIZI shop, which I really love. I like the way it administers the glue. It's just a nice light touch, and I can just drag it along, and it's perfect. And there's no clogging like with adhesive glue. So I go ahead and take this paper flower accordion heart and adhere that down. And then here I'm taking a sentiment, popping it up with some foam tape, and I'll go ahead and adhere that down. The accordion hearts, I believe, are an add-on. I really like them. They're very, very nice. And I thought well, they do. They match the kit perfectly because the paper matches the hearts. And that's it for card 4. For card 5, I am taking one of my Spectrum Noir clear glitter. What am I talking about? My Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, and I am inking up the peel-offs. The peel-offs are white, but the paper and the color scheme of the kit is more of a cream. So I don't know what color marker that was, FS or something. And I go ahead and color in 5, I think I did 5 or 6 of the peel-offs, and I go ahead and put them on this piece of cardstock, and I put them all the way across. I just show 2 of them, so you don't have to sit there watching me. If you do this, I was using the, I guess the nib end. It's better to use the chisel. Hello, the chisel is a lot bigger, and I was able to color several at a time at once. So there it is to the left with all the peel-offs that I had colored, and it matched perfectly. Go ahead and adhere this pattern paper down, trim up the edges, because God forbid I adhere it straight. And then go ahead and add some foam tape. Now you see where I folded over, or this is just double-sided tape. I folded over the peel-offs just to make sure they were nice and secure. Usually I would cut them off and save the extras, but I didn't want to take a chance of them peeling up for whatever reason. They probably won't, but just in case, it just offered a little bit more security by folding them over. So I'm taking one of the wood frames and I'm putting one of the sticker sentiments behind the wood frame. And I go ahead and use my Tombow Mono liquid glue to adhere that to the card. And then I go ahead and add one of those pretty little butterflies. And that is it. So for card 6, I'm using a scallop die I had cut this paper with. Add some foam tape. Adhere that to my card base. And then I take one of the sticker sentiments. The kit came with the sticker sentiments, but you could also purchase another set if you wanted to add more on. And this ribbon came in the kit, so I just cut 2 little strips and I put some double-sided tape on the back of my sentiment. And then I adhere those 2 strips of ribbon to the back. So it appears as if they're tied, but they're not. Trim up the ends and then go ahead and add some foam tape to kind of pop it up. And then the kit came with some really cute buttons. And I went ahead and took 3 of the light pink flower buttons, and then I took the enamel dots, which the enamel dots are add-ons, and I added them to the center to cover the 2 holes that are on the buttons. And then I used my multimedia mat to adhere the buttons to the card. I used a lot because the buttons are slick, so I wanted just to make sure that they had good coverage, but I ended up using too much multimedia mat, especially on the first button I'd glued down. So I had some glue oozing out, which I wiped up. And thankfully with multimedia mat, it's going to dry matte, so you won't see it. And that is it for card 6. Card 7, I am taking this stencil from my stash. I bought it to use for Christmas and I never used it, so I was glad to pull it out this time. And I'm taking a piece of the pattern paper that came in the kit, and the pattern paper I'm using reminds me of mixed media. There's a lot going on with the pattern paper, so I thought the music notes would look really pretty, especially in that cocoa brown ink. And I'm just taking a sponge and blending some of the music note, the stencil, and it's not perfect. I wanted it splotchy, and then I'm using that same sponge to blend the edges. And then the paper has polka dots on it, and I have this, it's a honeycomb stencil that has an adhesive backing that you can remove. I couldn't find a polka dot stencil. I think I got rid of those. So this honeycomb worked fine. And I'm using some of the Nouveau drops, not Nouveau drops, but the Nouveau mousse that came in the kit, and lightly stenciling on, blending the Nouveau mousse, and you'll see it's a light, pretty touch, and I'll show more at the end. But if you saw, I sprayed my Nouveau mousse with some water to reactivate it. It was dried out, and once I sprayed it, totally worked fine. So definitely do that with your Nouveau mousse if you're finding it hard to work with. I took one of the frames and I flipped it over and used the wood side instead of the pattern side, and inked it up with the same sponge and the same ink, the cocoa brown. Gonna go ahead and adhere, stamp my birthday wishes sentiment using my mini Misty. I wanted to make sure that I got a good impression, so that's why I'm using the Misty. And then go ahead and adhere that to my card base. This is another card that I think could pass for a masculine card. I love the way the Nouveau mousse just added that light touch of green color. It's really pretty. And here you can kind of see the sheen of the Nouveau mousse drops in the corners. So really like that card. For card 7, this could be another masculine card, and it's really easy to put together. Card 8. Did I say card 7? Card 8. taken another piece of that mirror cardstock and I took a strip of it to adhere to the left side using that Nuvo glitter pen. I adhere my paper as well. Did I say Nuvo glitter pen? I think I should redo this whole voiceover. Glue pen and not glitter. Take this sentiment, and I didn't want the butterflies because I wanted more of a masculine card, so I just kind of cut them off, leaving the ends kind of at a slant. Go ahead and adhere it to another one of those strips I had left over from when I trimmed my card bases, and then trim those off there. And then I take another piece of the mirror cardstock strip and go ahead and adhere that down. And then I will pop up my sentiment with some foam tape. And then I take the Nuvo drops that came in the kit and add a few Nuvo drops just for some accents, because this card is really, I don't want to say plain because plain sounds bad, but it's very simple. Not much going on. And so I wanted to use the die cuts, but I ended up not even using them. So I saved the die cuts, the butterflies, the 2 dies come in the kit, and I saved the die cuts, and then I said, well, I can use these, the leftover pieces, as stencils. So I'm taking the ink, and if you do this, you want to make sure you leave yourself a border around the stencil so you don't get ink outside of the stencil, if that makes any sense at all. So I was being very careful not to get ink outside of the butterfly stencil area. And I take that same kind of mixed media pattern paper, ink up some of the butterflies, and then I take one of the sticker sentiments, and I keep the stickiness on the back. And I have this metallic, gold metallic thread, and I'm kind of making a nest, I think is what people refer to them, just kind of a sloppy circular design. And I'm using the stickiness of the sticker to kind of stick the ends to the back of the sentiment and trim it up and kind of adjust it. And so it's kind of hard to see on camera, but in person it looks really good. And then I go ahead and pop it up on with a piece of foam tape and adhere it to my card. And go ahead and adhere that piece to my card base. And then I add my Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen. I add it to the butterflies I had inked up. So for card 10, I had used a scallop die and went ahead and cut the 2 ends off of this pattern paper. So then I just have a strip down the center. Go ahead and adhere that with some tape adhesive. And then I take these 3 sticker accordion paper hearts. They're not stickers, but they do have an adhesive back, and go ahead and adhere those down. And that's that simple. That's it for card 10. It doesn't have a sentiment. So I had quite a bit left over. 3 full sheets, mirror cardstock, those stickers. There are my scraps from the cards, the ink pad, peel-offs, and then another set of peel-offs, the Happy Mother's Day ones. The 2 stamp sets, which one of them is an add-on. 2 of the frames, Nuvo drops, didn't even use any of the doilies, stickers, the 2 dies, and the ribbon, the twine and the pearls, the ton of buttons and bows, which I wanted to use but didn't get a chance to, the embellishments, the Nuvo mousse, the accordion hearts, And then here are still shots of each of the 10 cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, let me know what your favorite card was. Make sure you are participating in the blog hop if you are watching this before March 5th of 2007. That way you are entered in for a chance to win this kit, or you can win 20 pounds to spend in the Love from Lizzie shop, which is around $23 or so depending on US dollars, depending on what day it is. So let me know if you have any questions about the supplies I used. I'll gladly get back to you, and I will link the unboxing to this video if you want to check that out, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.